And it's just another way to connect, but it's another way to preserve boundaries because it's very easy because no one else writes on it. So I'm just saying, here's this, what's happening now. And so it's really quick reference for people without having to go into social media to check everything out, to then realize their boundaries have been pushed because now they're here and they're spending longer on social media when they shouldn't. And so maintaining those boundaries, making sure your calendar is sorted and making sure that you know when you're going to be seeing clients. So, book your time and then batch your time. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. I'm so pleased you're here today. Now, recently I was talking to you about my upcoming webinar on the 23rd of March, and I really hope that you can join me. It's all about in practice and things that happen in practice. But recently when I was talking on the podcast about it, it made me think about our boundaries, and I think I mentioned that in that podcast. And boundaries, I feel, is a nebulous word, and I think I said that as well. And what I feel we need to be thinking about in our practice specifically is making sure that we're really setting the times. So we really know what's going to happen and when. When I first learned to do this was a very long time ago. She's an Enyo dealer, I think, and she had her diary out. Paper diaries, back in the day, paper diaries, and I still have paper diaries. I love them, but I use them differently. I certainly don't use them to book people in. But back in the day, she had a paper diary, and what she did is she coloured in exactly what was allowed to occur on those days and times. So, a Wednesday would be totally coloured in with one colour, and it would say underneath it, because they have targets like every party plan. I was a Tupperware dealer for a while. My mother was a Tupperware dealer. And within the party plan system, there's always goals to achieve. And we have goals as well. So it's not actually unrelated to us at all. When we have a goal, we have a target. And her targets were different. Her targets were win a prize, earn something extra, the clients got something extra. So she would colour in the particular day and it would be part of a promotional period or whatever. Now, looking at her diary, she had orange, she had green, she had red. And the red, she's like, I can't book on that. That's family time. I'm out. It's done. End of story. She couldn't write on that coloured space. And I find that using a booking system is very similar because I'm blocking out my time. Now, I've got a couple of tips here, and these are from my hairdresser many moons ago. I said to her right back at the start, different hairdresser than one I've got now, right back at the start, and I said, how do you book them in? So I already had this diary system happening by then. And she said, well, when they ring to book in, so you say, well, just before I look at my diary, what day suits you? So obviously for me, if they say Friday, I say, I'm sorry, I don't work on it. I don't see clients on a Friday. I don't say I don't work on a Friday. I do work very hard on a Friday. I just don't see clients on a Friday. So that's my business day. So I'm not going to see clients. And so I would say to them, I'm sorry, that one's not available. And when I look at my diary and when I make those plans, so she was like, well, that's easy. So you say to them, when are you available? You immediately cancel out when you know you cannot be with them. And then you say, a Thursday. Let me just have a look at my diary. Do you prefer morning or afternoon? And then they'll say morning or afternoon. And then you look in the diary. It might be completely empty on the Thursday. And you say, well, I have 2:00 or I have 4:00. And you're giving them those opportunities, remembering that if they say, can I do 4:15? You probably don't want to do 4:15 because that might mess up anybody else who wants to come in and see you at 3. So you'd say, well, I can do 4 or I can do 4:30. I work on the hour or the half hour. And that way, you've got your system all ready for that Thursday. You've got that person in. Oh, I can come at 4:30 then. Great, you're in at 4:30. And it means that the next person would then be 5:30. The person before would be 3:30, and that's how that day then pans out in the half hours. So when we talk about boundaries, which can be really nebulous, I think once we sit down and calendar our lives, and my life is calendared till December 2021. with the courses that I'm going to be offering. So the Graduate Mastery Program, that's already started for the first semester, and it will start again second semester. I already have those dates down. They're not in my Acuity calendar yet, but they are on my year planner. So I know exactly what's going to be happening. I've already booked out my holiday time. So I know when I can take a break. I know when I can be away in June. And we do have to plan these things ahead. And that is all about the boundaries. So it was just a quick one today because I thought it's time to revisit making sure we've got our calendars sorted. In the academy, I've started using Telegram now. And so I'm able to send out and send reminders to everybody on Telegram, and information's up, things are done, this, that, and the other. And so it comes out to them in Telegram. And so that creates it's a notification. But in a way, it's a boundary because it means that I'm not on Facebook as much, and nor other people in my academy, because they don't necessarily have to go to Facebook. They can for the recordings. That's where the recordings are of our meetings. But they don't actually have to go there. The information, if they don't want to watch that recorded session, or they can't because they can't be at the live session, so they don't want to go to the recording, they don't have to. The info is now being sent to them in the Telegram. So in Telegram app, not in a Telegram. That would have been, none of you have sent. Some of you will have sent a Telegram. I've definitely sent telegrams. But you can't send a Telegram these days, can you? So it's a Telegram app that I'm using. And it's just another way to connect, but it's another way to preserve boundaries because it's very easy because no one else writes on it. So I'm just saying, here's this, what's happening now. And so it's really quick reference for people without having to go into social media to check everything out, to then realize their boundaries have been pushed because now they're here and they're spending longer on social media when they shouldn't. And so maintaining those boundaries, making sure your calendar is sorted, and making sure that you know when you're going to be seeing clients. So, book your time and then batch your time. So when we batch our time, so I batch podcasts, I will write the webinars that need to be created, and I will batch that so that I know exactly when it's going to happen. On my Apple Watch, I've got, if you swipe up, if you're an Apple wearer, there's 2 little faces, and those 2 little faces mean you're on stage and nobody can disturb you. And so there's all sorts of ways to make sure that I can be in sync, doing what I need to do in that booked time that I have booked out to do those things. So I hope that helps. Just a quickie. And I will let you go. Have a lovely rest of week. And if you want to check out the upcoming webinar, then it's on the 23rd of March, and you go to geraldineheadley.podia.com, and it's on the bar at the top, or if you're on your phone, the little lines on the right hand side, touch on those and there'll be a drop down for the menu, and you will find the link for the webinar, for the workshop, for the workbook and everything else, so that you can come along and join up, or you can watch the recordings after. So it's been lovely chatting, and I hope you have an absolutely beautiful rest of day. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.